Hello, Mina. Hello, everyone. So, as you can see, we're going to start off with a rough wreath. This one did not sell last year, and let's just say my cats got a hold of it a few times and they nibbled on it and they pulled on some of the strings. So, it's pretty rough. Now, you have a couple of choices when this happens, okay? So, you have a choice to take it apart and put new mesh on it. You can reuse the ribbon and just put it back together exactly how it was with brand new mesh. Or I am going to try and save this wreath. It may not be possible, but we just won't know until we get into it. But I'm also making this video to show you that if you do have like a little piece that is just kind of ruined on your wreath, you do have options to fix it. Okay? So, first, I want to show you what the back of it looks like, and then we're going to work from there. My tools for today, this is my heat gun. It has a lower setting and a higher setting. Okay, this is from Amazon. I loved my heat gun. It has a little stand, and then when I'm not using it, you just put it down like that. Okay, we have my ribbon scissors. We have my regular scissors. We have some wire cutters. I may or may not need to use those. Okay, and let's see. Let's turn it over here. So this tag, I'm going to take it off for right now. And I'm going to be moving it up to where my hanger is later. This is my card. Before I got stickers, I put this on. And this is also a wreath I did before I started folding my cruffles. So that may also be part of it. Another part is because this is poly burlap mesh instead of fabric mesh. And so if you could see on the other side, the stuff that is the worst is the poly burlap. This is not fabric mesh. I believe it is check mesh, which has like a very coarse twine in it. So the twine cannot be melted like the poly burlap. Okay, but along with any cotton blends or anything like that. But the foil and the deco, the poly burlap, all of those kinds of blends of mesh, you can melt. And that is what we are going to be doing today. We're going to try and see if we can save this wreath. So first, I'm going to go through and I'm going to fix all of the ribbons. As you can see, they're kind of like all over the place. That's what happens between kids, and the cats attacked it a few times. Apparently I didn't put it up high enough on the wall. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that, and then we are going to do the heat gun. And we can also pull out some long strays and cut them while we are doing this. So I'm just going to lay the ribbon. As you can see, this ribbon is frayed pretty bad. You can either cut it, or if there's just a little bit of fray, you can use your heat gun and it will bring it back. Like if you're using a lighter, you know, when you burn your ribbon with a lighter so that it doesn't fray, it's doing the same thing with a heat gun. This one's pretty frayed too. I made this, I think, 2 years ago. And so it's been to a lot of craft sales with me. It's been in and out of totes. I think it even went through a almost tornado. We made it out of there before it hit, but our grids kind of fell over. And so anyways, let's just go through, and I'm just kind of poofing. And if you don't remember what you did with your wreath, just look at it when you're doing this. It should tell you just by the placement of the ribbon what you did with it. Okay. So for these, I'm going to have to cut this off. You can also pull it off. Just be mindful that since the top part, see how this has like 3 or 4 of them right here? More than that. It's like 10. If you pull them all off, then this is going to start unraveling. And so since this is already unraveling, I did that, and then we're going to use the heat gun to try and get these little pieces to go down a little bit and maybe connect with the next row. That way we can save that. That is probably the most worrying part right there. There's also another piece over there I'm a little worried about. Let's see. You could also do this for wreaths that you just have made and they've been in storage for a while and they look a little bit worse for wear. Just cut a little piece off of the ribbon and it'll look just as good as new. Line up the ribbon where you think it should go. In this case, I did 2 rows, and then I did like the bow technique with the ribbon in a bundle, and then I skipped one and did the regular ribbon technique with the tails. Okay, looks like this pink needs to be cut. We do work on a budget on this channel, so I always encourage you that if you do not like a specific wreath or if it just bothers you, then just take it apart. Do something else with it. I have a couple more that I'm going to be doing that with. I have a skull one that I made about a couple years ago and it never sold, and honestly I never really liked it very much. It's going. I'm going to take it apart. And then you could just reuse the items that were in that wreath. Okay. You can make a whole brand new wreath with it. Sometimes you can even salvage the mesh, depending on what you did with the mesh and how bad it is. But always keep in mind that your mesh isn't going to go to a different form. So if you used a cruffle method, you're not going to be able to use the bubble method in the mesh that you already used for more than a couple of reasons. The bubble method, it would need to be attached all in one roll instead of already been cut. If it was already in a bubble method, you can cut it to a cruffle or a ruffle, but it'll never be able to use as, like, say, a smaller bubble because you'll be able to see the creases. Okay, let's cut these. And if you are wondering, I got this sign from Craft Outlet. It was probably 2 years ago, maybe a little bit more than that. You might be able to find one similar to it. You could probably also check Etsy. Sometimes people buy things off of Craft Outlet and Wreath Store and stuff and then sell it on Etsy for more. Okay. We're just going to go around and just kind of poof them all. Pull out the really big strings because you don't want to do that with the heat gun, because the heat gun has to go faster than what you expect it to be. And so if you have to leave it on longer for a longer piece of string, then you're going to melt the mesh that you don't want to melt. Okay? And all I'm doing is just straightening the triangles at the ends of all the ribbon, making sure I don't need to cut off an end. And honestly, this bicycle ribbon and this teal ribbon are pretty good. I don't think I'm going to have to do much with those except for straighten them. And all I'm doing is just sticking my fingers in and doing the V like I've showed you in previous videos. You can also do this if you go and buy a wreath from a garage sale or a yard sale. This would probably be a way to help revitalize it. That way it'll look nice again. I do recommend storing them in a specific way. If you have one for each season or holiday or whatever you decide to do. What I do is I get a trash bag. I know it's for trash, I know, but it's the biggest bag that I can find. So we get a trash bag and turn it upside down, okay, so that the strings are on the bottom. And then make a hole at the very top. Get a hanger and put it through your little hook like this here. Put your hanger through here. And then put it through the hole in the trash bag and pull the trash bag up and around. That way it protects it from getting hooked on clothing. The trash bag makes it more protected from dust and bugs and animals. And then I just put it in my coat. You can put it in your coat closet. You can put it in your regular closet. You can put it in your storage, whatever. It'll be perfectly safe in that trash bag hanging up on a pole somewhere. Okay? This one is actually pretty bad too. Let's try and cut some of this off. I do like poly burlap, but you have to use it in certain techniques. And I've learned over the years that ruffles are not one of those techniques you should be using poly burlap for. It usually frays more than if you're using it for like a pedal. If you're using it for a pedal and you use your wood burner, then it will be much better than if you used it for a ruffle. So if you do use poly burlap, I highly recommend that you wood burn it. Do not just cut it with your scissors. It is not going to be worth it. It will ruin your wreath, okay? And yes, eventually we will do some wood burning on here. I honestly need to find my glass cutting board. I'm not quite sure where it went. So that is going to have to wait until I can figure that out. Now let's cut a little bit more off of this here. Let's see. And if you missed a couple of things as you're going through, it's fine. You could always go back through and look at it again. All right. That one's really bad. Let's go ahead and cut that. If we can get this one in decent condition, I would still like to sell it. It's not going to be full price just because of the damage that it has occurred. But I would still like it to find its forever home and be happy on someone's door. And yes, I used a term for animal shelters. I was watching a couple of animal videos earlier, and so that's what popped in my brain there. Okay. This ribbon doesn't want to go straight. There we go. All right. It's already starting to look a bit better. Let's see here. And always check your frames. If it's an older wreath, just make sure that none of the rungs are broken. Because you don't want to do all of this work and then have the rungs broken on your wreath frame. And then your case would be that you would have to take everything off and move it onto another wreath frame. You can use some wire and some ribbon to fix that if there is a slight break and you've already put in all the work and effort for it. But I do not recommend it if you're going to be selling it, because it is completely obvious when you do it, and it is not 100% guaranteed that it's going to stay that way. So I do not recommend that. I could show you in another video on how I do that as well. What I want you to remember is that us crafters are here to make it look better. Even if that means that we have to cover up something, then I guess we have to cover up something. But that does not mean that I'm going to give you something broken. It just means that if there is a certain part of the wreath that I don't particularly like, or say I ran out of ribbon, then I'm going to put a bow on it so that you don't see where the ribbon I ran out of. Okay? That is just part of the deal. It's just how it goes. But I would not recommend selling a broken anything in your business. But I also don't like to take a loss either. So it could also be like a gift to someone, like a teacher or something. That would also be a good thing to do. All right, now that we have poofed and we've cut down the longer pieces, we're going to take our heat gun, and I'm going to use the lower setting. The higher setting is for when you're trying to take something apart that has hot glue on it, or it is also a very good way to scorch wood when you want it to look really woodsy, if you know what I mean. Like it looks stained. You could do that with the higher setting of your heat gun. Okay, and that will work on just about any wood. But I would be careful because it gets really, 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 really hot. Okay? Alright, let's do the lower setting. And yes, it's going to be a little loud. And I am just going to focus on one area at a time. And you could watch as it kind of shrivels and kind of folds down in on itself. But I wouldn't leave it on one piece too long, or else it'll concave on itself. Okay? Alright, let's get going. So let's see, let's start with one that you guys can see. Let's do this one right here. And I'm just going to aim it inwards into the inside of the curl. And this is just going to make it so that it stops fraying. If you guys can see it moving there. You see that? Okay. Let's do this one here. See how it's all frayed? Okay, let's do that. You see, it kind of works really fast, so you need to be sure that where you're aiming it. And it's not going to be the prettiest thing, but it'll make it so that it doesn't fray as much anymore, and it might be giftable to someone later. There we go. And the heat gun was pretty inexpensive. I don't remember exactly how much it was, but it was over a year ago that I purchased it. So I can't really quote you on that. And I do wish I had like an Amazon affiliate link, because then I could put them in the comments. But unfortunately, I do not yet. Hopefully we will one day. Go. I'll just cut that bigger piece off later. Make sure you hit anything that looks like it might come apart. And get all the edges. That will help a lot. Okay. You see that kind of shriveling? Yeah. So poly burlap mesh actually melts pretty well. And so it's going to go pretty fast with that. And I just want to create like a little ledge on all of these up here so that it doesn't fray anymore. And to remind you, it is on the lower setting. I don't want it in the higher setting, because then you're just going to melt it really bad and it's going to turn out not the way you would like it to. You see how it's doing that on the frays? I know it'd be kind of a little hard to see, but it will do it on the frays on the ribbon as well. I wonder if they have a portable version. And you could bring it to craft sales with you and just kind of go through in case you have an emergency with it. Okay. Let's move this ribbon a little bit so you can see what I'm doing here. You see it kind of moving? And I'm gonna, yeah, look at that one. mind on where you're aiming it. You don't want it to be on anything else that might not like the heat, okay? This also works really good for vinyl. If you're putting vinyl on a canvas or on some wood, it works really good for that as well. So I do recommend all crafters to at least have a heat gun. You don't need it right away, but eventually. Just something in your arsenal to help you along. Okay, I think we're almost done here. All right. So let's go back through and fix the ribbon a little bit. We kind of moved it around a bit. Make sure everything looks nice. Maybe I'll let my kid give this to one of his favorite teachers. Some of his teachers are amazing. So that's really all it is. You could always go back in with it if you've missed a couple pieces. That's really all this video was to show what you can do. You can also use a hair dryer, but it doesn't work as well. Go. Missed a couple there. The pink ribbon is actually from Sam's Club a couple years ago. I wouldn't recommend it, honestly. It does fray quite a bit. I've put it on a couple of different wreaths and I always have to cut off the ends. So I don't recommend that. But this bicycle ribbon came from Craft Outlet. It matched with the sign, so I bought it. The teal ribbon is actually a very big surprise. The teal ribbon I actually got on sale at King Soopers. I know, right? I think it was from the floral department because there was a 50-foot roll of it. I got the teal and then I got like a coral salmon color. And they were like $2.50 each. And so I got them. And they're actually very durable. I wonder where they get theirs from, because I would buy more of it in a heartbeat. There we go. All right. The sign is a wood sign. I don't know what else to tell you. This is on a 16-inch, no, actually it is a 14-inch frame from the dollar store. Okay, you can tell by the ends here because it goes over and that there's no loops. If you look at like the Walmart ones, they loop over and go across the front. That's how you can tell the difference between a dollar store and a Walmart. You could also tell by the shape and how big it is. The normal Walmart ones come in like an an 8, a 10, 12, and then you can get like an 18 and then a 20. The dollar store ones come in an 8 and then a 14. And then you can get the other shapes and sizes. So that is our wreath, and that is what I did to restore it. Okay. Please look through the videos and see if there's anything else that you see that interests you. I hope to see you again soon. Sayonara. Bye.